So this is Alpha Clash. The cool thing about Alpha Clash is we are our own IP. So we have a novel that just came out. Okay. So the little history of or a little bit of the synopsis. Thanos' little brother Shmanos pops up, right? He claps his hands. His name is Alpha Astra. So when he does that, people start getting these super abilities. At that point, they start fighting each other, kind of Highlander style. They don't know why. They just like oh, you're another Alpha. And then basically the last one standing wins, goes to Sweet 16 in the sky. Okay. At that point, they fight other Alphas and other planets or other winners. Then Earth just resets. Like we find out the dinosaurs was because of Alpha Clash. You know, we find out the underwater city of Atlantis was real. We find out Santa Claus was an Alpha. Like all kinds of weird stuff in the story. So at this point, there is a lady called Clarity, and she was one of the first winners of the Alpha Clashes, and she says, I'm done. She's retired in Boca Raton. She's living her best life, and she's like, I'm done with all this. Gets a ragtag group of friends to help stop the end of the world, and then that's the story. That's boring stuff. Cool thing about us is we, like I said, are based on a book. So when we play the game, we're playing the book. We're playing the characters in the book. We have our contenders who tell us how we play. So we have different life totals depending on who you are. These are both the Clash kits, so they're the same life total. This is basically a starter deck. We have our 1-0, so that's the power and toughness. Like in other games, if you have a little elf that hits you for 1, it does 1 damage and it lives. Right. This game we don't like elves, right? Forget elves. If an elf hits you, it dies. So because it's only got a 1 butt, you know. So we still take 1 damage, but they're done. So it's real consequences. I kind of think of it as a choose your own adventure story, where you get to a point, you gotta make it. You're gonna go to the dungeon or go to the tower. What are you gonna do? As far as resourcing, there is no set resource. Every card can be resourced when you play. You just play it face up and upside down. So that way we know it is a red resource, which matters for certain cards, and we know that it is a resource because it's upside down. We have the fun, fancy map, so it's easier to understand where you're not doing that resource. We have our Clash Grounds, which are our locations. They will say, or field spells, they will say XYZ happens. So trigger, enter, deal 1 damage to all Alpha Clash cards. At the start of each player's turn, deal 1 damage to all Alpha Clash cards. So this deals damage to both of us.
How many cards do you get at one time?
It's a 50-card deck with a 1 contender, so 51. And then you have an 8-card starting hand.
8 starting?
Yeah. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't count to 8, I do 4 twice. So then at this point, you mulligan. You're like, okay, I don't want this card, I don't want this card, I don't want this card. You take those 3, put it back in the deck, shuffle, and then draw 3 more. So there's a chance you get the same card. 1, 2, 3, and that's your chance. You don't
so that's it. One chance.
One chance and you're done. Because it's selective mulligan, it's hard. You know, there's no like keep going, drop a card. It's 1 chance you're done. That's your starting hand. Now, so I'm a jerk, okay? Because if I'm not a jerk, I'm going to go first. Because I go first, I lose 2 abilities. I can't draw first, and I can't attack on my first turn, which means everyone else can attack as soon as they're playing. As soon as they hit the board, start swinging. The contender can also start swinging. But there are repercussions if you swing. So if you're 1-0 and I'm a 1-0, we're both going to take 1 damage. And then the goal is to get the other person down to 0. So you start with 25 health, I can get down to 0. I keep attacking you. If you have Clash cards, you can block it. Or if you were engaged, say you swung at me and you attack it, I can attack you personally. But I can't.
How do you keep it total open?
With the life swing, little class counters. These are my personal. You can use dice to use whatever you want. Yeah. And then we have accessory zone, so the traps are played upside down. You don't pay for the traps until you activate the traps. So when you play it, it's a free play. This is where weapons go, other things like that. They say accessory zone. Then we have a resource zone and a clash zone. The clash zone are where the creatures go. They're called Clash cards. This is the affiliation. So right now we're dealing with Alpha cards. But we also have Alpha Hunters, Rogues, Harbingers, Progenitors, and Discard. So the Progenitors are the gods. So Alpha Astra, Shmanos, he's a progenitor. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, those are the Harbingers. the things that go bump in the night are discarded. So like those the trolls, those are like they get the money. So they're not supers, but they can fight with the supers because they got money from the government. Or special power suits. Then the alphas are like Superman, where they have the actual natural abilities. So the whole game is basically like I said, it's an alpha clash, so we're trying to kill each other. That's what standing wins. Deck building is up to 4 cards per deck, unless the card says otherwise. But our limitation is unrivaled. We're going to have 1, and the card will say that. With that, we are at 2 sets. We've got our first set, which is the Awakening. We actually only have 2 boxes left, and that's sold out in distribution level. Wow. We have Clash Grounds, which came out in December, and that's War on the front. So at that point, the next set comes out the end of May. We have our first 25K in Vegas in April. Then the following month, we've got the 3rd set Unrivaled. Wow. We have our Clash kits right here. These are basically starter decks. So it comes with exactly the decks we have right here. So 2 people can start playing for $25. You're good to go. MSRP on the boxes are $85 to $90 depending on which set you get. And then with stores, they do a 20% map as far as MSRP. The last thing we have with us to show, well actually 2 things. We have our pre-release kits. Those come with 8 packs. I think 8 or 10. I can't remember. It's a long day. I think it's 8 packs, and then you have your promo cards inside as well. And then we have this is our rivalry kit, which we don't hand out. This goes to the stores. So if a store does an OP program, they will have cards in it. They'll pass out, which actually are these right here. So you see the little Alpha and Omega foiling in the background. That's so quarter 1 will pass out those. Quarter 2 will pass out a different card. Quarter 3 different cards. And then we have refer friend cards. We also have championship cards that are 4 per store for each quarter. So each week we'll have a different winner in constructive play or whatever play you want to do, and they'll get a winner.
So most of the time, if it's this game, who would this be more tailored for? It's not like D&D. It's not nowhere near.
No, this is so
if you're like if playing into a certain type of game, would you describe it?
It's got hints of Dragon Ball Z. It's like a mocktail, right? Took a little bit, have little things from here and there, throw it together. Like the resourcing is similar to Star Wars or Recon. We have traps like Yu-Gi-Oh. We have contenders, which would be similar to Magic. They're always on the field, so they're always available. And the play style is a little bit more fast-paced. When you attack, you attack 1 at a time. So if I have 4 guys, I'm not going to swing 4 elves as your right. I use that metaphor. I'm going to swing 1 guy, we resolve the action, we play our power buffs, and then I can either go to my primary phase and do play on the card, or I can go straight with combat again and fight with someone else. So instead of having to resolve me swinging 3 or 4 guys at one time, it's singular actions. And like I said, your contender, the idea is to get them down to 0. So as we fight, you take damage, or like I said, you can jump in front of the block, maybe die, maybe not. Depends on how the buff, I know the numbers, what's going on. And yeah, we also, other thing we have, because we're on IP, we're trying to do 1 book a year, and then we're trying to do 2 to 3 comics a year. The comics will all be like on Kickstarter or other type crowdfunding sites. But so the books are like our Marvel movies, and our Kickstarter comics are like the Disney Plus shows. So we're going to focus on individual topics. Then the board game comes out in the fall. It's the same story, it's just set in a different time period. But it's a completely different game. It's a board game. It's a dice rolling miniature game where you're just trying to kill each other and take over.
How long does it take to put all that together?
Okay, so the Kickstarter happened fall of 2022. As far as developing, it took longer, but that's when the Kickstarter happened. The release happened in the summer of last year. A month later, set 1 came out, which was the Kickstarter set with different pool rates without the decay. And then set 2 was in December. And then since December, or before December, we've been working on the board game, which we're not actively testing.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so that should be here Kickstarter fall of next year or fall of this year. I think I'm not sure when the delivery is going to be, but I think September is when we're looking for that Kickstarter.
It sounds like it's taking off pretty quickly.
Yeah. So it's the company itself. Ridge is the CEO. He lives in Iowa, so he had a good plan. His Kickstarter was amazing, and then we are the people. You know, we are the playtesters. We're the ambassadors. We go to the conventions and we help them out. So we just go to the events and demo the game, and we try to create a program of ambassadors. So right now I'm in charge of the ambassador program. So if it's someone's like, hey, we need someone in California, I would go on our page like, hey, who's in the California area? Can you go to Brian's Cards and Collectibles in Sacramento, California? Then if they're available, could go demo the game there and try to build a community. So we're doing a grassroots style like that.
So these games, so for example, the local gaming store that has the Magic and all that, they're in these stores now.
Yeah, well, so we are in LGSs. We're not in like the big box stores. So game stores right now, we are going through Southern Hobby or part-time collector for distribution. So if they have an account with either of those guys, then they can get the game. Other than that, it's ordering. We are on TCG Player now. So individual cards can be bought there. People sell boxes on there, packs on there, sealed product. We all know the draft set that was released. We call it 2.5. So set in 1 and set 2 curated for a new experience for people. We said we will no longer we will never reprint a foil card. So we don't want to mess with the value of the card. So we will either do an alternate card in that card or just not print that card as a foil. Where right now everything over rare will be foiled. So it gives you a new chase. So now you have a legendary card that was never foiled, that now is foiled in the draft box.
So this strategy?
Yeah. So we're trying to watch out for everybody. We want to have a good, strong market. We want people to enjoy the game and trust the game. Trust that we're not going to reprint a thing 5, 6, 7 times in 2 years. Because then your cards, don't overvalue this people.
Is there a website?
So Alpha Clash, TCGplayer.com. And now that you asked that, I want to make sure. Alpha Clash, TCG.com. So that is going to give you the information. We also have QR codes on our products that will take your link tree for the book, for information. We'll take information here at the store or the convention for the board game to send information there. Other than that, so that's the website. We have a big Discord where I think we hit 1,500 people. If I'm wrong on that number, I'm sorry. But I think that's the number. But the Discord has also, we can send you to a buy-sell trade Discord. And we have all the information, all the spoilers. Right now, spoiler season, because the end of April is our first 25K. Like I said, Vegas level up. And then at that point, we're going to be doing a pre-release event for Step 3, which comes out at the end of May. Yeah, it's really fun.